Good morning, everybody. This is Riley from the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club, and thanks for joining us on this ride. It was a beautiful day in May, and just to be a little different, we decided to meet at A&W. We were meeting a little later than usual, so there was actually other people in the parking lot, and there was some sort of little hot rod event happening. Most of the vehicles were not to my liking, but I must say it was comforting to know that there were people spending even more money on their hobby than we usually do. Look who showed up at A&W. Henrik, where have you been?
Relax.
And we are also joined by Ivan.
Hello.
You fixed your motor.
Yes.
The banging sound is gone.
Well, the non-normal banging sound is gone. The 690 is just a noisy motor.
So what was the problem?
Knock, knock. Who's there?
Was it crank bearing?
Yeah, crank bearing. I discovered that the 2012-2013 690s, first generation true 690s, were kind of weak in that spot. 2014s are apparently better, so that's what I got.
And then, of course, they really got their crap together when they started making Husqvarnas.
Yeah, okay.
We follow Henrik!
We headed out, and as you may notice, Henrik is not riding the mighty DR. He's not even riding his WR250. He is riding his 1150 GS, which is currently the only dual sport-oriented motorcycle he owns. Turning off the ABS on those 1150s was not quite as convenient as it is on some of the newer bikes, and of course it will also reset every time you start and stop the bike, which is a bit of a pain in the butt. But Henrik got it sorted out, and off we went.
Some pretty fresh tracks. Get Henrik do his first crash of the day. Nice! Hold on. We could have brought the front tire down the hill. It would have been a little easier. Back it up. Hold them clutch in, Bill. All right, we got the first fall of the day out of the way. Again, because he restarted.
The most important piece of equipment, if you're going to be off-roading on a big bike like an 1150 GS, is 2 or more friends to help you lift it up when you fall down. Once we got Henrik sorted out and he had once again switched off his ABS, we headed down to the original sand pit where it all began. And this pit keeps changing shape. But today we would have a new little toy. Yes, the Awesome Players had acquired a Mavic Air drone. And here you can see me piloting it. This is really its first maiden voyage where we were using it not just kind of flying around in a field or a parking lot. So I was at the controls here trying to follow Ivan on the 690, and I gotta say the image quality is pretty amazing, and it does give you a really different perspective on the old sand pit, and you start to get a little bit of an idea of how steep some of these hills are. Here you can see that Henrik was quite intrigued by the new technology. And it's pretty amazing that for the price point of these drones, you're getting something with electronic compass, with GPS, with a 4K gimbal stabilized camera, with 2 cameras looking forward for accidents avoidance, for 2 looking down and 2 to the rear for accident avoidance, plus, live HD video being displayed on your phone at up to 4 kilometers. So just an incredible piece of equipment for less than $1,000. So this was actually something that I co-own with Joe, and yeah, just unbelievable. And the stability of the image is just freaky. There's times when you look down at your phone and you actually think the app has crashed because there's no movement at all. And then you'll see somebody in the image move and you realize it's just that stable. In sport mode, it has a speed of about 70 kilometers an hour. And the return to home function is incredible. You push the button and it lands within inches of where it took off. When we were speaking on the phone earlier in the week about this ride, it was just one of those weekends, I think, where nobody was really up for anything big. Nobody wanted to travel far. No one wanted to spend an entire day on the trails. Everybody was in a pretty mellow mood.
Ooh, fish! There was fish in there.
We all decided that we would just head to the sandpit and ride around until we'd had our fill. And that kind of takes the pressure off because you're not trying to find a new riding area. You're not sniffing around on the web looking for GPS tracks. You're not worried about finding some new trail where you get 20 minutes in and it dead ends. As soon as you basically decide just to go to the sandpit and have some fun, it just takes a lot of the pressure off of planning a ride. Here you can see this big green hill that's off to one side of the sandpit. And of course, through the magic of the drone, here you can see Ivan coming down, and you get a much better idea, I think, of the scale of this place and what it offers in terms of different riding areas. Another big difference when you are really not going anywhere and you've decided just to kind of hang out in one spot is that you can have a lot more fun shooting video. When we are actually on a ride, it's pretty hard to get a lot of variety in your shots and do a lot of interesting things with the cameras because for the most part you're constantly moving, and it really bogs down the proceedings if you say, okay, everybody stop, let me ride up ahead and I'll position the cameras and then you guys come speeding by. Oh, well, I didn't quite catch that. Can you guys go back around the corner and try it again? So when I watch a lot of videos on YouTube where I see a lot of that, I realize that the folks involved were actually out making a video much more so than probably actually going for a ride. Here you can see we decided to try the tracking feature with the drone. So the drone is following Henrik on the 1150 GS all by itself, and it was doing a really good job until he kind of dipped down over this little hill and then it lost him. So then we decided to try it again with Ivan on the 690, and in this mode I think the top speed of the drone is somewhere around 40 kilometers an hour, so he could quite easily speed away and leave it. I don't believe the tracking feature works in sport mode, but once again, just the incredible technology here where I'm basically holding the remote in my hand doing absolutely nothing except staring at my phone while the drone follows him. And you can see there when he dipped down below that edge it lost him. I believe at this point I took manual control and I decided to try and just follow him myself, and that actually turned out to probably be the most fun of the day, just trying to keep Ivan in the center of the shot. And I'm recording this in 4K, but this edit is only in HD. So basically when you shoot in 4K, you have about 4 times as many pixels as an HD image, which allows you to do some pretty serious cropping. So in some of these shots, I'm able to crop in, which makes it look like I'm actually following him quite a bit closer than I actually was. But yeah, it was pretty neat. There's that hill. We've shot video going up and down that little ridge many times, but there you get a pretty good idea of how steep it is. And in this shot here, you get a good idea of the scale of the old sandpit. Here goes Ivan up once again. It does take some time to get this thing up and running. So if you're on a trail ride, it's not like you're going to be able to stop and in 5 seconds you throw the drone out of your pocket and it calibrates, figures out, gets GPS locked, takes off and hovers and kind of sorts itself out, and then you shoot and get some amazing shots, hit the return home button and stick it back in your tank bag and you're off. It's going to take some time. Here you can see me irritating Henrik while he's trying to practice some actual riding skills. Henrik dropped his bike, so of course I swooped in to give him some help. No, I mean spray him with sand. But since Henrik had the bike on its side, he decided to practice a few different techniques. This is called the lower back pop. Another technique someone showed us at the Fundy rally was to put the handlebars to full lock the other way and then grab the handlebar, which gets you farther away from the bike for more leverage. You want to bend those knees perhaps a little more. I came in to try and do a demo. You can hear some vertebrae popping there, but that's minor.
Try the backing up technique.
Henrik decided to give it a try once again, using the handlebar technique. There you go. You know, the bum to the seat technique has its limitations. It works really well in parking lots, but it doesn't necessarily work that well when you're in some awkward terrain. But Henrik decided to try the seat technique anyways.
The ass first technique with the handlebar that way.
So you have to flip the handlebars the other way.
You got to get your ass against the seat, super low, and push that way.
And of course, it's not a bad idea to put out the side stand first, so that when the bike does get all the way up, it doesn't flop over the other way.
It's hard in sand, I think.
Then, because we had time to do some video shooting, we stuck one of the GoPros in the sand and decided to spray it.
Nice!
Over the years, we've pretty much become convinced that these GoPros are indestructible. We've only had one get damaged, and that's because it wasn't in its waterproof case and it got wet. This is an older GoPro 3. The one on my helmet is a 3 Plus. And once again, when you're not really going anywhere, you got all kinds of time to goof around, play with the cameras. Oh, I've installed it there. And as far as GoPros go, I really don't see much point in going beyond the 3 and the 3 Plus. I've worked with the 4s and the 5s and the 6s, and they are marginally better, but certainly if you already have a 3 or higher, I wouldn't spend any money upgrading. At the other side of the sandpit, just before the base of the big green hill, was this swampy area, which usually isn't this deep. I decided to do a little staged video shoot here, where I would tuck the video camera right into the water, and then Ivan would blast by.
Okay.
You can see here I have a GoPro 3, my old one, on a little mini tripod, and this is a great setup for doing handheld or these cutaway shots.
My feet are wet.
Nice. Those kind of shots really do add something to the video, but normally in the rush of actually riding, especially if we're on a rally or some sort of GPS event, we just don't have the time to do it, and it also just kind of takes you away from the moment. And there you can see that the Husky is much better than a 690 at crossing puddles. So even here you can see we've got this panoramic view of the sandpit from my GoPro. Just doesn't quite give you that same wow factor as those drone shots do. And there's Ivan giving me the low angle shot. The configuration of this sandpit has changed a lot over the years, and if we haven't been there for a while, we do have to be careful because we're not quite sure what holes they've dug. I splashed through here, and once again, since we had plenty of time and lots of cameras, I was on the intercom with Ivan telling him to hold off so that I could pre-position the Expendo cam to get a nice action shot of him crossing this little stream. Much more dynamic angle than this. Eh.
You splashed a fish right out of the river!
And this would be the first time we'd ever caught a fish. Of course, not only do we pack out our trash, we also practice catch and release.
Woo!
You'll recognize this shot. We've done this in quite a few of our videos where we position one of the cameras at a low angle at the top of this steep hill. It does make for some nice footage. Then we pulled out the drone again, and this time I turned off the auto tracking feature, and I decided once again that I was going to try and keep Ivan in my sights. It's kind of interesting because the drone doesn't turn on a dime. It's got quite a bit of momentum, so when Ivan does a sharp turn and I hit the stick hard to the right or to the rear, you can actually see the drone lean into it, and you can hear the motors whining because it's trying to slow down. And yet when you watch the video, it looks incredibly stable. Like here I am spinning to the right. Now I've got it full throttle trying to catch up to him. It's got proximity alarms, and when I was getting near these hills, because my altitude was quite low, the proximity alarms were sounding to let me know I was getting close to an obstacle. And if it determined that I was getting too close, it would actually just stop. If you fly this drone towards yourself about 5 or 6 feet away, it just stops. It can, of course, be tricked by things. If there's a tiny little twig or a branch, it's not really going to detect it. But I really thought these shots were really cool. And a couple of times I got a little confused as to where I was and which direction I was facing. Like that tree right there, that little birch tree. At one point when I was setting up for a shot, I started backing up, and of course I'm looking at my screen trying to get the shot organized, and then I just happened to look up and realized I was about 2 feet away from running into that, the tip of that tree, which the accident avoidance wasn't detecting, I think, because it was just so slender. Then it was time to follow Henrik on the big 1150 GS. I think those blue and white GSs are a really smart looking color combination. The nice thing about these GSs now is that the prices are incredibly reasonable, and there are still bikes like this out there with low kilometers that have never seen any off-roading. So for anybody who's wanted one of these bikes, they are now down into the KLR price range, and many of them, when you account for all the accessories people have put on them, are really a good deal. At some of the off-road events we've been to, you can see guys are picking these older 1150s up and just using them as an off-road only machine. And because they pick them up for peanuts, they have no qualms about getting them dirty and riding them hard, because it's no longer a big expensive BMW, it's just a cheap old bike. Eventually we packed up our kit. Henrik was heading home to be with his family, and Ivan and I decided to head into town for a cold beer, so we rode along the ditch here. And this used to be one of our regular activities way back when we first started, was just riding this ATV trail that runs along the side of the highway here. And eventually, we ended up at the Deja Vu Bar where, as you can see, a lot of shiny Harleys and only a few dirty bikes. And then this next shot was supposed to end the video. Once again, nicely staged, local microbrewery beer, delicious. But on our way out of town, it's a 90-kilometer-an-hour zone here. We passed a couple of members of the local constabulary, so we were being very good boys. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of traffic. Now look up ahead. That tractor-trailer is in the incoming lane. He is coming in the incoming lane right towards us. Everybody swerved onto the shoulder. And now you see that dark car on the left. As we went by, we could see there was someone in there waving their hand, and they suddenly stopped in the middle of the road. Something told me there was something odd going on here. So I warned Ivan that I was going to be hanging a Yui, and I swung back onto the ditch trail, as we call it, and we started heading back up towards this car to see if this person needed any help. But as we were motoring along here, the car left. So at that point, I figured, well, if they had run out of gas or something, that I guess they solved their problem. The car started, maybe they stalled it.
What the machine? She just stopped on the road, man. I thought she was broken down. We could push her. She's not dead.
But as you can see, I was quite excited about this event. So there's quite a few beeps in that little piece of audio, because I'm not a big fan of head-on collisions with tractor trailers. But then as we started going down the trail a little farther, I could see that at the next T intersection, the car had once again stopped, and the person in the car was waving their hand out the window. At this point, I started to get worried that perhaps there was some sort of medical emergency going on. So Ivan and I decided to ride up and see if we could lend a hand. We rode past the car, and I parked on the shoulder here. And for now, you're just going to see sky, because I flipped up the chin bar on my helmet, and that's where the camera's mounted. And I didn't want to talk to the elderly woman in the car with my full-face helmet on. So I walked back to speak to her, and man, there was a lot of cars zooming by. This is now closer to noon on the weekend, and it's prime time. And basically, she explained to me that she couldn't find the main highway and that she was lost. So I indicated to her that all she had to do was follow us. And of course she said, "Oh, you're going the wrong way." And we said, no, don't worry about it. We'll turn around. You turn around and follow us, and we'll lead you directly to the highway. The poor woman was almost killed again when she started to do her U-turn without looking. Almost got clipped by that car. I'm not quite sure what her issue was. She was definitely very anxious and flustered. I'm not even sure she should have been driving, but anyways, she fell in behind us, and a couple of kilometers up the road here, we got her onto the highway and waved her goodbye and headed off. The ride ended with a little more excitement than we would like, but all in all, it was a good day. And there's just something about going riding with a couple of guys that you've been on some really rough, hardcore rides with before, and all of a sudden you find yourself just playing around in the dirt. Reminds me a lot of when I was a kid and we would just aimlessly ride our bicycles around the neighborhood, trying to find more and more things to ride over or jump over, or have a competition to see who could do the longest skid. And I guess that kind of plays to the fact that these motorcycles really are just toys for bigger boys. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as we enjoyed making it. Once again, if you have any questions about the bikes, the gear, the cameras, the intercom systems, anything at all, don't be shy. You can leave us a comment here on YouTube, or you can head over to awesomeplayers.com. And at awesomeplayers.com, you can not only order a sticker, which is great for covering up those inevitable scratches that come from riding off-road. But you'll also see our contact information there if you want to drop us an email. Over on Facebook is another spot where you can get in contact with us, leave a comment, or send us a video or a picture of your own awesome adventure. And once again, if you want to keep up to date on the latest videos that are coming out, and they tend to come out in batches where we don't put out any videos for a while and then all of a sudden we'll put out 2 or 3, click the subscribe button and click on that little bell symbol, because that will give you notification that a new video has come out. Once again, thanks for joining us on another small adventure of the Awesome Players Off-Road Motorcycle Club.